So what happens when a single routine maintenance update goes wrong? Well, it can paralyze business across an entire continent for almost 10 hours. And that's exactly what happened. This wasn't just some minor glitch. It was a total systemic failure that really pulls back the curtain on some critical flaws in the systems we all depend on every single day. So today, we're going to break down Microsoft Incident MO1221364. We're going to figure out what went wrong, why it went wrong, and most importantly, what it means for all of us.
It all kicked off on a Thursday morning with that all-too-familiar feeling of digital dread. You know the one. You've got a super important message you need to send, you hit that send button, and then just nothing. Silence.
Just picture it for a second. It's 11:40 a.m. You hit send, and you're waiting for that satisfying little whoosh sound to tell you it's gone, but it never comes. You mash the refresh button, and your inbox, which should be buzzing with activity, is suddenly a ghost town. That's silence. That's the first clue that something is very, very wrong.
But here's where the story gets really weird. While you and millions of other people are staring at a dead inbox, the official Microsoft status page is just glowing green, all systems operational. Meanwhile, reality was playing out on social media, which had basically turned into a digital war zone of panic and confusion. It was this huge disconnect, this moment when users realized the official story and the actual reality were two totally different things.
Okay, so let's dig into what was really happening behind that little green checkmark, because this was so much more than just Outlook is down. No, this was a systemic blackout across the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. The scale of this problem was just staggering. It wasn't one thing failing, it was a cascade, a domino effect. First, Outlook goes down, taking all email communication with it. Then Microsoft Teams dies, killing collaboration. Then SharePoint, then OneDrive. But the most chilling part, the real nightmare scenario for any IT department, Microsoft Defender went dark too. Your security tools failing at the exact same moment as your communication tools, it's the worst case scenario. So, anyone who tried to send an email got hit with this cryptic error code. What does 451 4.3.2 even mean? Well, to put it simply, it means the server heard you knocking, but the door was locked and bolted from the inside. This wasn't a temporary delay or a backlog. It was an act of rejection. The system was basically shouting to the rest of the internet, "Don't even bother sending me anything right now. We're closed."
So, what was the cause of all this chaos? You know, the irony here is almost too perfect. The entire meltdown was triggered by a routine update during a scheduled maintenance window. A fix that was supposed to improve traffic flow instead created a massive bottleneck that just choked the whole system to death. They essentially broke a critical piece of the network while they were trying to make it better.
Now, the outage itself was just the first crisis. Almost immediately, a second, kind of hidden crisis started to unfold. Because, when the official tools go dark, the work doesn't just stop, it just goes underground.
Think about it. When Teams and Outlook are down, what do? You switch to whatever works. People start firing up WhatsApp groups, using their personal Gmail accounts, anything to get the job done. This whole phenomenon has a name. It's called shadow IT. And for a company's security and IT teams, it represents a massive, terrifying loss of control.
And look, this isn't just an IT headache. This is a full-blown compliance catastrophe. Can you imagine sensitive merger talks happening over WhatsApp or legal contracts being sent through personal email? For any company in a regulated industry, we're talking finance, law, healthcare, this just completely bypasses the legal archives and the audit trails they've spent millions to set up. It's a regulatory disaster happening in real time.
The outage also exposed this fascinating little vulnerability created by, quote-unquote, modernization. The new Outlook. It's basically just a website wrapped up to look like an app. So when the internet connection to the servers failed, it just died, instantly. But the classic, old-school desktop version, it actually held on to some of its cached functionality. It proved to be way more resilient. It's a great lesson that sometimes the old ways really do have their advantages.
Okay, now we get to the most dramatic part of this whole incident. Hours are ticking by, and Microsoft is scrambling to fix the problem. But the fix they came up with, well, it had a disastrous and completely unintended consequence.
This is the question that should keep every IT director on the planet awake at night. Is it possible that the very people trying to fix the system could actually make the problem even bigger?
You bet it's possible. At 4 p.m., Microsoft's attempt to fix things totally backfired. In their own status update, they admitted that their effort to rebalance traffic incidentally introduced additional traffic imbalances. I mean, come on. In trying to shift the weight around on the system, they caused a completely different part of it to crack. The fix literally made the problem worse.
This whole thing reveals a really chilling reality about the world we live in. These massive hyperscale systems we've all built are like icebergs. We only see the tiny tip. Underneath the surface, there are these huge, hidden layers of technical debt and dependencies we never even think about. Our systems have become so complex that even the people who built them can't fully predict the ripple effects of making a single change.
So where do we go from here, right? What are the long-term lessons, the strategic shifts that are going to come out of this whole meltdown? Well, it looks like the answer is a move toward a hybrid future.
For years, the big sales pitch from tech giants was to put all your eggs in one basket, go all in on Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace for that easy integration. This outage signals the death of that single vendor dream. The future is all about hybrid redundancy. Companies are now going to look to diversify their risk, maybe using one provider for identity, another for email, and a third for security, so that if one piece fails, the others can hopefully hold the line.
This incident also exposed what we can call the Watchman problem. The Microsoft Admin Center, the very tool that IT admins use to check the health of the system, was also unavailable because it was hosted on the broken system. It's like the hospital's emergency room being locked from the inside. The lesson here couldn't be clearer. You need independent, third-party monitoring. You can't have the fox guarding the henhouse.
And really, it all comes back to this one simple grounding truth. We talk about the cloud like it's this magical, weightless ether floating around us. But it's not. It's just a series of very large, very stressed-out computers in a data center in Virginia, and it has very real-world limitations.
So what's the final takeaway from all this? The maintenance meltdown is just this powerful, humbling reminder that the cloud isn't magic. And the message for every single business out there is crystal clear. Diversify your tools, back up your data, and always, always be prepared. Because in this deeply interconnected world, the question is no longer if the next blackout will happen, but how you're going to survive it when it does.